And we're back here once again with another episode of the Iron Man Podcast, episode 514. It's going to be another rendition of Monday Mayhem. Strider's barely alive. Drunken Emerald Arrows not saving the city. And I'm just a black guy. So it's just usual Mondays. You know, we had a interesting weekend. Pride Month ended off with disgusting things, as it usually always does. But this might have been arguably top 10, maybe top 5 worthy. Actually, not maybe top 3 worthy. Most disgusting things I've seen on Twitter, actually. You know, I'm all for eating a girl's butthole. I'm all for putting my tongue in that shit. But you know, when it comes to anything with dudes related, that's when I get I'm as straight as a highway. Nope.
Well, how about not even adults? How about let's do all this with kids around? Like we're biking with our genitals at face level while kids are standing in the street and we're having to revolt.
In San Francisco, the person called
Seattle as well.
Yeah. In San Francisco and Seattle, when people called the police, they literally said, pick and choose your own battles. Imagine calling the cops.
Okay,
and someone tells you that.
I'll pick a fucking battle. I'll take a crowbar to these perverted fucks and I'll beat them over the head until they get away from my fucking kid. Which actually, I won't need to do that because I will not take my kid to a degenerate cesspool like that. Good God, people.
I want to know how bad that's how life has gotten now, where you could call the cops or something and they said, you know, let's fuck it. What?
If
why are you a cop? Why are you working?
Yeah, if a cop is going to say pick your battles, then pick that fucking battle as a parent. It is your responsibility to keep your kids safe. These people have no such qualms. They want your kids to be in as much danger as humanly possible. Normal adults do not want to be naked in front of children. Do not want to parade their business, small though it might be, in front of children. If they do, they should be hung by the neck by their own entrails until dead, until at least a little bit unconscious, and then fed to the wood chipper slowly feet first, because fuck those people.
In Minecraft, allegedly said by a guy named Red Strider, a white guy on YouTube that reviews Eric July's Rippaverse comic books from time to time.
I mean, hell, Twitter banned me for a week for saying purged, for God's sake. I don't care anymore. I'm also
I got suspended for a week for telling a trans person to jump in a lake.
And that was when wasn't that when the Riley thing went down?
I would have got so many followers.
You were so mad. I got 50 new followers from that whole thing, and I'm still getting. I went from 220 to 300. It was insane.
It's fucking crazy, man. Oh my god!
Going back to those naked the bike riders. I saw one of the comments. The cops were saying, "Nope, naked, full nudity is allowed during the Pride event as long as it's not for sexual gratification." That's the exact reason why they're doing it.
Yeah,
why are you naked in front of people?
They specifically said, as long as they're not masturbating, or sorry, on YouTube, beating off. As long as they're not beating off, they can do it. It's like, wait, what? So as long as they're not literally jerking it in front of them, then it's fine.
Reminds me of South Park. Jerking it in San Diego.
Speaking of jerking it.
Smacking it.
Good one. What weird world do we live in? First of all, even if you are gay, I don't care for gay, lesbian people, whatever. Lick a vagina all you want. I like doing that too. And suck dick. I don't like doing that. I'm straight as fuck. But
well, Pride Month is over.
Trans people, you know, I draw the line at that. That is where I draw my line. If you're bisexual, that's whatever for me. I don't really care, you know. But the trans stuff, that's when that's a little too much for me. But let's say you're a gay person and you've been fighting all this time to come out of the closet, so to speak. We just want to get married, guys. To see a gay guy getting on his knees, getting urinated on, and
oh my god,
sucking that guy off.
And we're not being hyperbolic here. This is real shit. We're not in front of children. We are not exaggerating here.
They called it the fetish zone. Pools filled with not water, well, urine, which is kind of but
so Riley would be right at home. But the thing here's the thing about a fetish. A fetish is sexually gratifying. It is meant for sexual gratification. You get a bit more of a I don't even know. You get your rocks off in a way that normal people wouldn't. That's what a fetish is. There's something very specific that is specifically for sexual gratification. There's no other place for it. There's no other point to it. So to have that around kids, wood chipper, please.
Happens it's been happening every year with Pride Month.
Oh yeah, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse.
I am tired of telling you, Strider, that's too quick. Wood chipper's too fast.
I mean, you have like maybe tie some bungee cords to their wrists and then like drop them ever so slowly.
No.
Oh, actually, better yet, how about those machines that eat everything? You can toss a fridge in there; it'll just crunch it up. How about do that for people?
There's other things.
Yeah, tie them on a crane.
There's honey and ants. There's
I
forgot what it's called. One where they cut your stomach open and like they put you in a boat and like they bury you in honey in like a boat. And then I think they cut you open. And
they don't actually. That's the thing. They don't even cut you open. You have to. So it's the milk rots, the honey attracts insects, and that you are basically eaten from the inside out.
There you go. There you go.
Apparently, it's one of the worst deaths ever invented, and I cannot. Yeah. So we're at a good start with these people.
Yeah. And then did y'all see the? I wish I would have seen who posted it on it's a YouTube short. It might have been that Benny guy.
Benny Johnson.
Yeah, Benny Johnson. I think it was him. Said, well, it was like one of those ones that he started when gay people come out and they apologize for fighting for gay rights years ago, and this gay chick was like, I am so sorry for fighting for our rights, seeing what it turned into. Like, I am so sorry for this. This is not what we wanted. This is out of control.
Yeah.
She commented. I know which one you're talking about. She flat out said, had I known what my fighting for gay rights and gay marriage was going to lead to, if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self to not do this.
Yeah.
And to be clear, like, nobody has an issue if you're gay in your own personal life. What you do behind closed doors is up to you. And I've worked for many a gay person in my life, and some of the best people, my favorite people some of my favorite people that I've worked with have been gay. They've been mostly lesbians. All of the gay men I've ever encountered, except for one who I work with now, he's cool. But every other gay man I've encountered is a fucking asshole. But he's an asshole first, and then I found out he was gay. And then that happens like 3 or 4 different times. But it's always the lesbians that are like the coolest people in the world. I don't know what it is. They're just really easygoing.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why they were all assholes. They knew you were straight, and they were turned on by you, and they knew they weren't going to get you. That's why they were assholes.
Ugh.
That's
not the gay part. Like the men I'm imagining that were as gay as the day is long were actually.
He could be right because
they wanted a piece of Strider.
Because
they weren't going to get it.
One of them did ask me for a ride to Hooters once. That was funny. Like, I'm taking a gay guy to fucking Hooters. Why am I doing this?
Hey, they got good food, man.
I think he was there to meet up with some girl who was going to take him home in like 2 hours or something. Like, bro, he was a stupid, confused kid, and he would never show up I was at Starbucks, for God's sake. He'd never show up for his shifts. He'd always try to get someone to cover for him. I was like, dude, do you even work? I was like, dude, do you ever stay a full shift? You're always trying to leave early, and you're always complaining about how you don't have enough money. You know what fixes that? Working. You know, it helps with that, being around long enough to actually get your tips. You know, being able to work those hours that you get paid for. What the hell are you doing all other hours of the day? Literally nothing. It's just this stupid kid who just was lazy as hell. And I kind of wonder where he is now, but then I remember he's an asshole, so I don't care.
MSK's been oddly silent through all this.
I'm just not even surprised anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say this. I don't care for all those people. I think most of them are just degenerate anyway. But the people that are genuinely like that, because they're actually like that, outside of trans stuff, because I'm not believing all that shit.
Yeah.
Imagine fighting all those many years, days, hours, actually living out what this is, only to see that happen on the streets and go, man, that is mega depressing. And then,
Oh,
because the idea fighting for that stuff was to show people, hey, this is not as bad as you think it is. It's not, we're not like that, you know?
right.
And then
But-
the people out there on the streets prove to other people what we've already been thinking. These people are just fucking weird. They're
And look,
disgusting.
yeah,
The problem
and
is there are thousands of them, thousands in one festival,
and I forget,
nationwide.
dude, was it not Essence? It's they have one here in New Orleans that's kind of like that, and it is insanely. I have friends who work up there who think it's the greatest weekend, and they're not gay, but they think it's the greatest weekend on the face of the planet because they meet all like the I guess moderate gays, the ones that are like, I'm gay, but it's not my whole identity.
Mhm.
But then when you watch, if you try and go through the French Quarter in New Orleans during this weekend, it's dude, it is. I went through there once by myself as an adult. I was out with the French Quarter with some people, and I had to walk through, not through the parade, but like through the area where they were doing it. And dude, it's not acceptable to why straight couples do what these people are doing in the street. Why is it okay for them, for people, not for gay people to do this with this stuff in the street that straight people would be, arrested for?
Isn't that a Family Guy sketch where Quagmire's dad is sitting at the bar, a guy comes by and says, "Excuse me, sir, no porn at the bar." "No, it's okay, I'm transgender." "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize." "Do whatever you want all the time."
Yeah.
It's like, if Family Guy has lost, if you've lost the plot enough for Family Guy to make fun of you, you done fucked up. But it's kind of, because nobody gives a damn what these people do in the privacy of their own homes. Just when you bring it out in public and wave it in everybody's faces, and especially around kids, wave it, just being a little old windmill. When I mean little old windmill, like nobody's impressed.
Some of those guys,
nobody wants this.
Some of those guys with dicks were very small. They had like,
and it's the middle of summer. It's not cold.
Well, there goes my excuse.
So gross. So gross.
I'll be right back, guys.
Like, how could anybody see that and go, "Damn, this is exactly what I've been fighting for this cause"? No. And there's nothing else you can really do. Who you think, like, man, just call the cops? No, because they can't do anything either. They're screwed.
Strider, you need to work a little bit better on that hookta.
God, man.
I want to meet that woman and be like, were you real? Were you for real? Because
I think she was.
I mean, I think she was, but I want to hear it from her own mouth because she just kind of disappeared.
I want to hear from her mouth.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to hear from her own mouth too.
Yeah, her mouth sounds great. And I'll be honest here, she basically said like the quiet part out loud. Guys want a girl where you come home, she just kind of takes your junk out and just starts slobbing on it.
Here's the thing, men. It's even more simpler than that. It's not even that specific.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It was all about what she was describing was sexual gratification, which is perfectly fine. However, men want more than that. We want, and this is something that I think, I don't really know where it's come from, to be honest, but I think a lot of women see sleeping with their man as a chore. They don't participate necessarily in the joy of it as much as men do. Now, men and women interact or sexually very, very differently. But what you very rarely see, or maybe it's just taboo to talk about among women's circles, or maybe just women have been shamed into thinking this is not cool. But what was so cool, what was so refreshing about Haktua Girl is that she is very, not just open sexually, but enthusiastic. And saying, "Here I am. This is what you do. If ever you want to make your man feel better," which he is completely correct about. But more importantly, I'm happy to. I want to participate in that selfless act to make him feel better for the express purpose of making him feel better. Men do not get that treatment from anybody. We do not get treated like that, to have somebody do something for us just to make us feel better. That's for everything.
It's rare.
It's very rare. Yeah, women get it all the time, which is why they're probably not used to. We're probably not used to being deprived of it, so they don't think about it. They get it all the time from their friends and family. And this women are typically treated better by a society or their family and friends at large. Like, men, not really.
I don't think girls understand this. They have more options by default. They're girls. Even like some of those unattractive women I've seen have at least more options than myself, and that's saying something.
Well, and
Well,
look, I
women-
know women will complain, I get hit on all night long. Yes, I can see that becoming an irritating and bothersome. But getting hit on all night long versus being rejected or just being ignored
Or just
all
never
night
have
long.
girls talk to you in general. Like, imagine
Right.
flipping. Imagine like I told you guys before. I'm pretty sure someone said I went through this. Well, I thought darn it, he says he's a jock in high school. I was not the
I
guy.
was an unpopular jock.
Well, it's like I was not the guy where girls were just naturally coming up to talking, were naturally interested in. The only way you have options is if you make options happen.
And yes, I was what I called a nerdy jock. I was into D&D, video games, all that stuff. I was forced into sports first, and it just stuck with me. But then when I discovered video games and D&D and action figures and all that stuff, I went head first. I made my culture of women talking to me because I was always the funny guy. I was the naked guy who was running around at parties. I was the guy. I was an extrovert. I say I made that luck, but they wouldn't have talked to me had I not been the guy making everybody laugh, doing something goofy.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure a lot of guys had that happen where
a woman, you walk into a party, chances are you can have at least 10 people talk to you.
It's not about even being like attractive or anything like that. It's just like I wasn't the guy to have the girls talk to him or be interested in general. So the only way you get even noticed is just you make. What was that saying when you were growing up? Closed mouths don't get fed. Something like that. Yeah.
Where, Squeaky will get Squeaky will gets the grease.
Yeah,
well,
girls have so many options. Like that's why guys ask girls certain things like, are you dating someone? Because I'll be honest here, if you see an attractive girl, let's be honest here, they're probably dating someone or with someone or in a relationship or having sex with multiple people.
Or at the very least, there's somebody waiting in the wings that she doesn't know about.
Or there's someone that she's potentially hoping to choose, but she's still kind of on the fence about it. Sometimes girls been with the girl
existing in the friend zone.
Yeah.
That's another big
most girls I've dated long term. I met them like, oh, sis, are you single? Yeah, I'm single. Whoa, like, how in the hell are you single? And they look at you like, what do you mean? Like, you're insanely hot. Like, you should not be single. Like,
that's what I'm.
Not that you shouldn't be. But like, you have options. That's like you're single by choice. That's kind of awesome, and that you're choosing to break that with me. So it's. I know that the women kind of get tired of hearing that, but you understand like. It's like a badge. It's like not a badge of honor. I can't think of the right phrase, but like the fact that you're gonna break you're choosing to be single because you can snap a finger and have the options come out of the woodwork. To break it with me it's an honor.
Well, as being mayor of the friend zone, I will say that I have heard many a times from very attractive women who are constantly alone, and then see it is that too many men are afraid to approach them and actually talk to them because they're so attractive.
Dude, I'll be honest.
They either make the assumption that they make the assumption they're already dating someone, or we look at them and go, they're out of our league. I'm not even gonna try.
The thing is, gentlemen, there's no such thing as out of your league. There's no such thing as out of your league.
Well, now we know that.
Well,
we know that
it's
now.
Just all in your head. Yeah. Because the thing you said earlier about that is okay. I know that's potentially true. I don't disagree. But how many times has that happened, though?
A lot. Because look, there's a lot of women I went to school with that I've run into in the past 26 years since I graduated. That I've talked to them like, look, I had like this massive crush on you. I would get like panic attacks when you come near me, because you're so hot. And they would all say the same thing. Why didn't you say anything? Like, what do you mean? I was a band geek who quit sports. But you were funny. You were, and you're cute. I would have liked you to talk to me. And it's always the same thing. I felt you were out of my league, just like Emerald said. I've said that at least 30 times to girls who've all said, "Why didn't you say something sooner?"
And that's usually the reaction that usually is. This is the whole point. It's like, you know what? I had feelings for you too, but you just never talked to me that way, or you never came in or even approached me.
Because I could tell you, I stopped asking girls out in 9th grade because I asked a girl out one time and the entire class busted out in, I can't believe he just asked her out laughter. And just absolutely destroyed me as a person. I didn't ask a girl out again until I was a senior in high school.
That's the saddest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Dude, that was in 1994. 95. I still to this day get laughed at by some of those people. You remember when you asked the Renata out? That was so fucking stupid. Because I came from a family.
It was like,
no
hey,
money.
you wearing parachute pants and windbreakers with your sweatpants. Fuck off. I remember 1994.
I wore those too.
Well,
and some Jordans. Jordans and a Charlotte Hornets jacket.
There you go. But you wore it. Actually, the Rams were still in St. Louis at that point. But like you at least wore it, and you at least had the balls to do something like courageous and kind of putting yourself out there. And everyone's like,
my pocket protector was hot.
To this day, I still get shit from those people. Some of those people that like it killed me as a person.
Because that attitude, that whole attitude is ridiculous. Because it is seen as that's the thing. If a woman were to do that to a man, I don't think that she'd be getting shit from her friends. I don't think that she'd be like
her close friends would probably pick on her, but that'd be about it.
Maybe,
like,
but
I don't think they
still.
I had 30 kids laughing at me like I just walked in the classroom with piss all over my pants.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, God,
it killed me as a person. I stopped. That's when I quit playing sports that year.
Is it all other men who are giving you that shit, or is it men and women?
A couple of were some women in the class,
but mostly men.
The whole class was about mixed, 50-50. But now it's mostly guys. But like when they do it, I'll own it, and they kind of like have no response for that, so they just kind of like shut up. But the girls that give me shit now for it is the ones that were rich and marry into other rich families and have 3 divorces and a ton of plastic surgery.
I'm finally ready to settle down. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, too bad. Hey, real quick, going back to, I know I missed the end of the pride stuff, but
we're fine.
Going back to the pride thing for a minute. A study was done, I don't know how many years ago, on the 4 major sports of the players. You know, it's anonymous. Are you gay or straight? I think as the NBA had like 35% of the players admitted they were gay.
Really?
I mean, and look, I'm being devil's advocate here. I'm not like saying, anything, but you wouldn't be able to. Could you tell? No. Could you tell by the way they carry themselves?
Not even close.
No, because it's not their identity. It's a part of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue that I can have with all this stuff is like, just because you're gay. Like, I have a buddy of mine in Florida. Dude's gay. He's so insanely gay. But he's a fucking metal and Strider. I'm gonna use you as an example. He looks almost exactly like you. Acts like hold on, follow me. Acts like you. If you told me you were gay, I couldn't tell by the way you're acting, is what I'm getting at. Dude's a fucking hardcore metalhead, red hair, got the little beard. Dude's a hardcore, dude's like, you listen to get in his car, he's got like death metal playing in his car 99% of the time.
Yeah.
It's not his identity. It's part of who he is.
I just find it amazing.
He has the same problem too. He's like, fuck all these people that act like that.
What I find amazing is that statistic from the NBA is so low. There's so many good ball handlers. I'm just really shocked that it's that low.
It was the NBA.
Something about nets. Something about
the NBA. I think
dunking,
the NFL was second, like 27%. The NFL was second. Then there was Major League Baseball. Then hockey had like
backstop
5 or 6%.
Damn.
Holy crap! So the thing I wanted to bring up there was that why can't there be like manly gay guys or womanly lesbians? For some reason, it's so weird with lesbians where like they want to become a lesbian to end up having sex like heterosexual people.
It's really interesting that among lesbian couples, there's very rarely, there's almost never 2 really womanly women. It's not like 2 Sydney Sweeney. Yeah. It's not like 2 Sydney Sweeneys. It's like a Sydney Sweeney and
Elliot Page.
That'll work. Yeah, something like this. There's always someone who is definitely the male side of it, and someone who's in the female, even though they're both female. Even though they're both, that's why they're lesbians. But there's usually one. It's a stereotype for a reason. There's one that's usually more butch, and there's one that's usually more like traditionally feminine. And usually, ne'er the 2 shall meet. It's kind of crazy how often that happens. Or it's And it's just like you're like, oh yeah, they don't. One of them wore a skirt, one of them wore pants. There's some variation there, but it is kind of insane that even though you still might be attracted to females, you're still you might be, if you're a really kind of mannish woman or a woman or like womanly woman, you will still be more or less attracted to, or maybe end up in relationships with the opposite, but just the only difference is genitals. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't really understand.
It's funny
not
that
me,
you bring
but
up that you brought up Paige, because I just watched X-Men
notice you
Last
didn't
Stand last
you
night.
didn't say the first name. Just Paige.
I refuse to do
What
that.
you just watched?
Same.
The X-Men Last Stand.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Better movie than people give her credit for.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think it's horse shit, to be honest.
I mean,
like an
it's
accidental click.
not awful. It is not like
No,
it
it's
is
not.
It's
awful.
not MCU dog water, but it's certainly not X2 level.
That was
No.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What are you
anymore.
talking about? X2? I mean, the only thing that really beats X2 is Morbius. I mean,
It's
of
a
course,
movie of all
Morbius
movies.
is a cinematic triumph.
It's a cinematic movie.
It's certainly one of those. It was made by people, and it came out in the theater.
So good, Sony fell for a meme and re-released it, and it lost even more money.
They said they didn't. The executive, the guy that leads their film division, I think there was an interview where he said, "Well, we didn't do it because the internet craze." Then why'd you fucking re-release it then? Shut up!
It was
Just
losing
take
money.
the L.
It was losing money for weeks before then. They knew. Like, we just re-released it. We didn't do it.
And then they decided to go ahead with Madam Web.
And they're not stopping. And then they're going to do Kraven the Hunter, which could be good because Russell Crowe is always good, and Aaron Taylor Johnson is not bad, but with no Spider-Man. Yeah.
Didn't he come to America to hunt Spider-Man in the comics? Wasn't that why?
Yeah.
Craven's Last Hunt. Yeah, that's the famous story he is part of. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was why he initially came here for Spider-Man.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about earlier? You know how we got multiple MCU movies a year? For this year, we get multiple Sony Spider-Man villains. We get Madam Web, Venom, and Kraven. Hell yeah, this is the year of Sony Spider Marvel villains.
Venom.
I'm still holding out some kind of not hope, but expectation that Venom is going to have Tom Holland in it at some point, or one of the other two Spider-Men.
Fine, I don't care.
I have a feeling. I just
might as well. I want to see Tobey Maguire. I want to see Andrew. I want to see Andrew Garfield. Why not?
I rewatched the Spider-Man trilogy, the original Spider-Man trilogy, a week ago. I shit on Tobey Maguire all the time. They're not that bad.
No,
except for the third one.
It's just the third one that's not good.
Don't put it. You know what? Don't put it. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I've been talking a lot.
I was going to say that don't put it past Marvel in general, whether it be Sony or Disney, to try to do live action Miles Morales.
Oh yeah,
it's coming.
Honestly, no, that is absolutely coming. They introduced Miles Morales. They mentioned him. They alluded to him in Tom Holland's first Spider-Man movie when they had Childish Gambino say, "I got a nephew that lives here." Well, it's Miles Morales, and they've been referencing, and even up until even the third one, Tom Holland is Spider-Man No Way Home. So you thought the Spider-Man would be black, and all the Spider-Man fans like Miles Morales.
Yeah, and
I clapped because I know Spider-Man.
With Spider-Man 2, the video game, they Sony straight up said,
"Oh yeah,
he's now the new Spider-Man in video games. They're gonna put him in the movies. It's gonna replace Tom Holland. It's just a matter of when."
Which is so stupid.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and it's because it's all a ploy. It's all a ploy to avoid paying royalties to the families of the creators of the creators. Was it Jack Kirby and who else?
It's not just that, Steve Ditko. It's not just Stan Lee. It's not just that. It's also they're changing every character to a different race or sex. Like, why can't we have both? Have both?
Just have him be recluse. That's been my he's brown recluse. Just have him be recluse, but just alter his character so he's not like a hip hop star. He's a caricature of a black man. He's a caricature of a Latino man. He's a caricature of a mixed race kid living in New York. There's not really a whole lot of character to him. What's like a defining storyline for Miles Morales? What's a defining villain for Miles Morales?
Dude, I was talking to a Professor Savage about that too. What is his main villain?
His uncle?
His main villain?
Prowler?
Yeah,
but Prowler Spider-Man.
But Prowler's he's just Spider-Man cast off.
Yeah.
There's no
I'm like his own villains. Like, who are his main villains? People will say
none.
Green Goblin's like, okay, all right, we're screwed. They're done.
And Prowler's a cool villain for Miles.
Prowler,
that's your uncle. And I love what they did with the first Miles Morales Spider-Man, where they had his uncle be like his mentor, the one who looks after him, his best friend. All of a sudden turns out, oh, he's a villain. And that moment was so well done. That whole movie was fantastic. Even though I hate Miles Morales, the thing that he's most known for is that Spider-Man movie, is the Spider-Man animated movie, but the character has been around in comics for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Does anybody know who his villain is?
Movies. He's only popular because of those 2 movies and the video game appearances and the Insomnia games. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
fine. And that's fine, but he is no Peter Parker replacement, and which is why Sony is wanting to do that so badly, and why Marvel's wanting to do that so badly. It's staggering.
And if you look, Peter's whole thing is he sees he can never be happy, and he fails at everything. Whereas Miles is winning everything he does.
Yeah,
he beats he always wins. He always beats his bad guy. But I find it hilarious that they're backing a character whose dad is a police officer, and they're giving him respect. I remember seeing some leftists like losing their fucking minds, like they need to change this because his dad's a cop and he should be this and this and he shouldn't be respected. And it's like, wow.
Or better yet, have him be a cop and
his dad's a person of color.
Tackle some of those issues. I don't know, but I don't trust leftists to tackle issues like that. It's always going to be cop bad.
Even when it happened in the comic books, it was a big thing because obviously Brian Michael Bendis was inspired by Barack Obama to create him, and they even killed Peter Parker off to put him in there. And to be fair, I can tell that is the Ultimate Comics universe. It wasn't the main one, but the fact that they would take away Peter Parker for that. Even if it's a non-canon universe, that's still a bad decision. That's still weird. The only reason why they made it work in that Into the Spider-Verse movie is that they still kept Peter Parker alive in the movie, theoretically. And he was a helping hand to make Miles a better character, to make him his own thing.
Because Miles never would have made it without him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember in the first movie he couldn't swing? He was like, come on, guy, you learn how to swing. Like, that's the stuff that people want. People don't want Miles taking over. They want more like, hey, this guy can guide you to be a better hero. That's
and they can work together.
And people said, well, the Green Lantern Corps have always been established that there are a group of them. It's never like one of them. It was never like that. Even if multiple backstories revealed, it's always been a core group of many individuals. You know, so you can get a black girl, you can get a white guy, you can get a Mexican, you can get an Indian guy. You can
get a bunch of aliens from all. They're incredibly diverse because they're all patrolling different sections of the universe.
One of them's a fucking planet.
Oh yeah,
it's a planet.
I'm waiting for the reboot of Spider-Man to do the origin story all over again.
Okay, yeah.
But starring a woman that is of a different descent. Named Patricia Parker.
Patricia Parker. I can see that.
Patricia Shaniqua Donjudane the third.
It was Patty Parker.
No, because that would be a ginger.
No. They won't. We're assuming that she's going to be black. They're going to make her Indian. It's going to be Padma Parker.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Because it won't be enough just to be black. You got to be something. You got to be something else.
I always give this example, people. Even if you're somewhat familiar with comics, even in the movies, that's going to apply to. Look at the Robins. Okay, Dick Grayson did not want to be in the shadow of Batman after they had that falling out, and he went to go do his own thing in Bloodhaven, becoming his own character, Nightwing, after being Robin. Then Jason Todd, next Robin. Batman found him on the streets, took him in. He's a different version of Robin. He's Robin, but he's not the same as Dick Grayson's Robin. Tim Drake's Robin is not the same as Nightwing's and Jason Todd's. Damian Wayne's Robin is not the same as the other three. Kelly, the Kelly bitch from The Dark Knight Returns, she's not the same Robin. People see my point here. You can be the mantle of the character and be your own specific version.
Yeah.
Wally West is different from Barry. They're not the same, even though they both run fast.
And the costumes are different too.
Miles is literally just, Peter but black. He's not really that much different. He has a
Yeah,
parent.
because he's still a tech
right?
genius. He's still a tech genius. He is still genius. He's still a smart kid who invents his own
Black.
stuff.
They're not really smart.
I mean, what does his cultural heritage, does his ethnicity lend any kind of different perspectives or attitudes to his character? No, because he's the same. Because we're not living in that might work back in maybe the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe. But even then, you're in New York. You're in the wrong spot to try to make any kind of racial statements about. Like, New York has always been one of the most diverse cities in history.
Even
So,
in
like,
the Just
this is the
League
wrong place to do
animated
it.
series, even the Just League animated series, they used Jon Stewart over Hal Jordan. People like that because he was a cool, competent, really written character. It has nothing to do with the race of the character. What I found out interesting when I was looking through a bunch of internet threads and stuff about Miles Morales, when we've been talking about him a lot, and I was let me dive into this character a little bit. What I've noticed that is any other character you talk about that you like for the mantle of the character and a different person, you never get called racist. It's only just with Miles. If someone says, I like Hal Jordan over Jon Stewart, people are going to be like, all right, cool, bro. That's awesome. If someone says, fucking, I don't know, I like Terry McGinnis Batman over Bruce Wayne, all right, bro, cool.
I was just about to say that too.
But if someone says, I fucking like Miles Morales over Peter Parker or vice versa or whatever, it's the racist argument. It only happens for him. No other character this happens for. Only just him. It's
I
don't understand why people die on this hill for. I don't understand it. Why someone could just not like Miles Morales because they just don't like him because you have your own personal taste. It has nothing to do with time to race. What if I just don't like him because I just don't fucking like him? And people say, but do you have any reason for that? I don't have to tell you shit. I don't even know you. What the fuck?
It's all astroturf. Let's be perfectly honest. It's all a ploy from these big companies trying to pay their shills.
I would give my reasons only because
we're having a discussion, obviously. Yeah.
When it's the other way around, when we ask someone like that and they say just because, we always want an answer. So I mean, personally, I feel if I expect an answer from you to explain me why you like something over the opposite of me, I feel it's my responsibility to explain why. That's just me. That's just me.
That's just genuine, respect
conversation.
Yeah, it's a genuine conversation. It's just that's only with Miles. Any other character you like that's a different race or whatever that's fine with the mantle is not talked about. It's not the same. I just don't know why it's this character people die on the hill for. I'll never understand it.
Him and Superman, I just thought about Superman.
Yeah.
And remember the Black Superman movie coming out, was supposed to be coming out. There was like a mass of people.
Yeah.
People go like, oh, you're racist if you don't like it. Like only these two characters.
Yeah, and
arguably they're the most popular characters.
We already had a Black Superman. His name was Steel. He was cool enough. You didn't need
my issue with Superman becoming race swapped is that Krypton was an ice planet. Where do whites come from? White northern area.
You're using logic, unlike the Rings of Power people.
Yeah,
they're black dwarves because they hide in this caves all the time.
I always brought it up like this. I remember when that news dropped, people were like, well, if the race has no bearing on the character. Okay, so first of all, I know even John Camp, and I don't hate John like other people do. I like John. When we was using his arguments, what a lot of people use, it's like, well, if the race of the character doesn't matter, first of all, if it doesn't matter, why are we changing it?
Mm-hmm.
If the race is not the most important thing, you shouldn't change it at all then, because by your own logic, changing it is useless, right? And first of all, I would think that we should, I don't know, somewhat respect the artists and creators' decisions to keep the character to look like what they drew and what they imagine. You think Joel Schuster and Jerry Siegel, you think they want to see Superman race swap? They didn't draw him like that.
Nope.
You know what I like hearing when I tell people, I don't have a problem seeing myself in any character. They always say, it's because you're white privilege. My whole life, every game I played, movie, cartoon, whatever. It didn't matter if it's a man or a woman or a different race from me. I could see myself as that character. Like Isom. I read Isom. The whole time reading it, it's him, but I'm seeing myself in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it.
That's actually a man thing. A man puts himself into those positions and thinks, how would I respond?
Exactly.
Like you typically and this is actually I don't want to say scientifically proven because that phrase has lost all meaning. but like women play and fantasize different than men do. Men are like, I am literally Batman. I am playing it with my action figure, my Batman action figure as Batman. But women will take, like young girls at least, will take that Batman figure and put him into situations that they're more familiar with, so that so Batman will go shopping, Batman will look for a car, Batman will go on a date, Batman will do all these like typically feminine
like
things.
life stuff.
Yeah, these typically like feminine things, but it's just interesting how boys and girls play very differently. And I certainly hope that's still the case, because we need those differences, and we need those differences in children in order to grow up to have those same differences in as adults, because that's how we're wired. That's okay. It's very interesting, this desperate attempt to blur the lines.
Yeah, and then on top of that, trying to fight against just nature. That's what's happening, is that this drive to fight against natural behaviors of males and females to make everyone the same. Well, we're not. That's just the case. We're not.
That's why we have different body parts. I always say that. If we're the same, then why do we have different structures? Well, logic people doesn't make sense to them. And even though people are friends, Superman is an illegal immigrant alien. You think, as much as these people love fighting for these immigrant people and give them free shit, that's an ideal character they want to preserve, right? He literally, first of all, his skin wouldn't matter anyway to change it, because he's an alien, okay? He doesn't even have a race. He's just an alien, okay? I just don't understand. Like, even with the Disney movies, race swapping Ariel, it's like, I don't understand the reason to do it. Like, wouldn't you be technically the racist one because you don't like the skin color of that character to begin with? You'd be the racist one. You're right back. Changer. You're fine, man.
Well, it also just makes me laugh. It also just makes me laugh because what people have known, because the Little Mermaid was the first in like 1989. That was the first movie that kicked off the Disney Renaissance. Every single time people remember Disney movies, it's usually like the golden age with Rapunzel.
No,
it's not Rapunzel. Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping
Ariel,
Beauty, Sword in the Stone. Disney Renaissance is Aladdin, is Beauty and the Beast, is those iconic films that were pretty much written and composed by Howard Ashman. There's a reason they were successful, because they were written and created like Broadway musicals, because the guy who wrote it and directed it had a lot of experience in that, and so it worked because it was a formula people were familiar with, and people responded very well to, especially when you had really good composers like Alan Menken writing and composing these banger soundtracks. Like Hunchback of Notre Dame, still my favorite Disney film of all time. Fucking brilliant soundtrack. You won't find that now, but that's the thing. It's iconic. It stands the test of time. Ariel is always going to be the redheaded, white-skinned girl voiced by Jodie Benson. She's not going to be this wall-eyed broad with whose eyes in different zip codes, for God's sake. And she's not going to be, nobody's going to remember her like that, because they're just going to go back to the cartoon Ariel that people remember. And not even Disney will give her that dignity, because every time the Disney princesses are going to show up, you're going to have Ariel. You're going to have Ariel as her white girl, red hair Jodie Benson version, not Shaniqua Martin, whatever. I don't know what her name is.
Well,
I forgot her name.
You saw it in the reaction when they were showing people were taking video of their little daughters, their little black daughters and stuff like that. And they're like, that's not your, the parents were excited, but the kids are like, that's not Ariel. That's not Ariel.
That's awesome.
It's like, yeah, the kids know it because they grew up with it and they see it. It's like, okay, guess what? You did this trying to win brownie points for adults.
And even the worst part about that, Triton, all of his kids did not look like her. They all look like they just got cast from LA, from the streets of LA. You had an Asian one, a Spanish one, a Nordic looking one, all of her sisters. So where the hell did Ariel, how is this even possible? Because you can probably have one wife. Well, that's how genetics works. So how the hell did Triton have 7 different racial
polygamy
siblings? And maybe it raises all sorts of questions. Whereas I don't even think that. I think the mother is mentioned once in the cartoon. So you can. So what? Why isn't the mother in the picture? Well, okay, there's probably just one mother. She died. Yeah, that's the reasonable explanation. But with this, it raises the question of, wait, how many mothers were there, and how did they all die, and what was King Triton up to? Clearly, something's weird. It takes us out because we're asking these questions of a movie that wants us to turn our brain off in order to not think about this kind of thing, because it doesn't matter, because logic doesn't matter. It's just the message. Just don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for next product. It's kind of insane.
Well, two things I have to say. First thing is, we saw that drag queen video where this drag was performing in this like family gathering or whatever. Little kid just ran away from him.
Oh yeah.
Based. There you go. Kids are. People always said kids are the best judge of character because their instincts are all over the place. When they're young.
Dogs.
The second thing to bring up is there's all this Star Wars discourse right now with the Acolyte. People would post that fight scene with they said his name. Wherever that Sith Lord is, they're like Teeth Sith Lord or whatever the fuck his name is. They said
Milo Ren.
Yeah.
I love that name.
They're like, how can anybody hate this show? As they post like one fight scene, it's like, I was like, are you people 5 years old? What the fuck?
It's lightsabers. I know lightsabers because I know Star Wars.
Like, what the heck? An out of context fight scene that you have probably no idea how that transpired, how the story led up to get to that point. How can you dog on the show if you see? Are we really judging the merit of a season of a show on just an out of context fight scene that looks kind of cool? Like, what are you?
I'm still trying to see how it's the best fight scene since Revenge of the Sith.
Oh no!
80% of the battle was in the fucking trees, and what I like is hilarious is you're watching like Smiley fight 3 or 4, and 2 of them on this side of the screen just swinging their sabers, nowhere near the fight. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it made me laugh. It's like because he's making his way. There's like 6 different Jedi with all their lightsabers ignited. He's making his way down the line. Like, what the hell are they waving at? Like, what are they doing? Especially, that was so disappointing because he tanks blows from full on masters, for God's sake. Like, the Jedi are completely fucked in this content. Really, Disney
whips his ass.
Yeah, you got X-23 actually lasting a little bit longer, but it's actually kind of funny. I'm pretty sure the reason that she got stabbed 3 times was to tell us in a meta sense, hey, by the way, lightsabers are deadly in this universe. So she is definitely dead. But we don't even know, because lightsabers, you can get stabbed by, and according to Disney continuity, you can get stabbed as a child and just walk it off.
Oh, I found it.
It's only a flesh wound. It's only a flesh wound.
Like that's
or
one
have
of
it stabbed you and you only just sit there for 10 seconds.
Shad Brooks, who's on FNT.
Yeah.
Who was
Shad,
I hope the last thing I watched from Shad was that he said YouTube was actively trying to throttle his channel. I hope
I believe that.
I hope it all worked out. He said it did. So hopefully that's true. Because he does like these breakdowns of like these fights or whatever and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this person quote tweeted me. It better be pronouns in the okay. All right, okay, cool. Remember, guys, fights can't look cool. Characters always have to go for the kill. They can't miss. A character can't be skilled enough to dodge, and the fight needs to be shot perfectly, just like Obi-Wan and Anakin fight that absolutely doesn't have any of these mistakes.
False. Because look what the GIF, that is the dumbest part of that whole duel. I still laugh whenever I see it because they're just waving their swords in front of their face. That's stupid. But the rest of it is deadly. It's a dance. Because you have 2 Jedi at the height of their power, the 2 of the most powerful Jedi in the entire galaxy at the height of their power, fighting in a furious manner, and it's great. However, this idiot is also completely wrong because it has can't be skilled enough. The fight needs to be shot perfectly. Yes, the fight needs to be goddamn shot perfectly because we need to see what's going on. If we don't see what's going on, if everything is lit if everything is lit by a potato battery, for God's sake, we're not going to be able to say whether or not it's quality.
You know what they're making the shows on?
But that's the reason. That's the point. It's deliberately there to hide the quality of the fight scenes or lack thereof. There's a reason that the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fights in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which should not have happened, 2 of them were all shot in pitch darkness, lit only by lightsabers. It looked like shit. We could barely tell what was going on, and everything was lit by their lightsabers, and that just never looks good. They keep trying to do this thing where the lightsabers illuminate the entire world around them and never looks good. This actually has some dynamic, some lighting that makes sense. It has some contextual lighting, like from the overhead, different lights and different indicators and buttons and stuff, and the different monitors. That is the light. The lightsabers are not casting light upon anything else. and it looks better that way because we can see what's happening.
Not to mention the choreography of this fight. I mean, there are scenes
Yes.
of both actors that are literally doing this fight.
Yes.
They are
trained for
actually
months
doing,
for this.
they trained for months to do it. So it isn't fancy camera work and clip here, clip there, just to make it look more exciting. No, they were actually doing this fight.
And you know what's even cooler with whenever Anakin and the Ahsoka, whatever that was, it was Hayden Christensen on set beating the hell out of Rosario Dawson. I wish he would have finished the job, but you could tell he was holding that lightsaber in his hand. It was an extension of his hand. It's like he woke up the day after Revenge of the Sith release and he was back in action. He was holding it as if it was a part of him, and he was so comfortable with it even all these years later, because you don't forget this shit. And especially for some reason Ewan McGregor was like it seemed like he was holding a baseball bat. He was not very comfortable with it.
Because you know for a fact Hayden Christensen has a lightsaber at home and is constantly in his bedroom playing with it.
No, they actually had to tell him, listen, you can't, during the filming of the Revenge of the Sith duel, they had to tell him, you can't be making lightsaber noises whenever you're in the middle of a scene. I love that. He's so enthusiastic about it. He kicked the ass in Revenge of the Sith.
This guy said, I hate the prequel lightsaber fights in general.
Oh, you're fucking
I don't know how you can. Also, the prequel lightsaber battles are better than the ones in the original trilogy. That's the only thing I really can give them. But the misconception of the scene is outstanding. This was a teacher versus his student who knows what the other is going to do. This was both parties predicting what the other is going to do and responding the same way. Again, I hate lightsaber porn, but the idea behind this spot was very apparent. The best lightsaber fight was Luke and Vader, when Luke just ultimately gets pissed off at Vader, throws all form out, and just hacks and slashes at Vader for threatening his sister. Nothing after Return of the Jedi had anything that good.
They're different types of battles too. There's different stakes. There's different levels of also Vader is half machine. He's not going to be able to do this, and Luke does not have the lifetime of proficiency with a lightsaber in order to do this either. There's contextual reasons for this.
The major thing I want to point out that people miss when it comes to the scene, this is a built up tension-filled conclusion to the end of the trilogy. It would also make sense that this fight would come out this way. Teacher, student. Keep in mind, in the fight, you can tell he doesn't really want to kill him or hurt him, honestly. You know, Anakin clearly does, so his attacks are more meant to kill. There's so much more to... I hate when people see iconic fight scenes like this and go, well, look at this. This is one stupid part. All right. They're fighting with swords in space. That's already stupid by concept. You draw the line at this? That's what you draw the line at? What? It's like those people that'll go, oh my god, Batman, he defeated Darkseid. Batman is a guy that runs around beating up people at night in a batsuit, but you drew the line at that. All right, so I'm glad we understand where your line of thinking is at.
It was actually interesting because in a cartoon, Batman did actually beat Darkseid, but kinda. He doesn't beat him in a fist fight. He beats him with his mind. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he threatens to basically bomb all of Apocalypse in order to get Darkseid to behave. Yeah. He doesn't beat him in a fight. He outsmarts him and gets Apocalypse to walk away from the fight, and it actually earns Apocalypse's undying respect. He's like, you got some balls, dude. No one else is going to do this, because Batman was willing to be ruthless. He was willing to make the sacrifice play. It was kind of great.
And that's what happens with a lot of people when they're looking at Batman from either the movies, comics, and stuff like that, is Batman's a detective. In the end, he's a detective. And that always seems to get moved away from a little bit more, and it's less touched upon. Now, granted, the Batman did touch a little bit more on him being a detective.
Like that.
But Batman 89 kind of does that as well. When Keaton's Batman is doing the research into Jack Napier and finds out that he had a background in chemistry and then starts doing chemical testing.
This also happens on Twitter a lot too. Saying something else is also bad does not excuse the topic at hand of being bad. Yeah, this happens on Twitter a lot. Someone will state something, but then they'll be like, well, what about this thing? And it's like, we weren't even talking about that. Fucking weirdo.
It's the
usually, and they're usually, Yeah, but they're also Damn
it! Oh my god!
Got him.
The thing is with I did that on purpose. But the thing, especially with Star Wars, the most recent argument I keep hearing is, well, Star Wars has always been bad. Like, shut your fucking mouth. You did not think that until your Disney overlords told you to think that. Nobody thought Star Wars is bad. There were a few people that thought Star Wars is bad, but there's a reason that The Force Awakens made $1 billion.
Prequels were bad. Most general people like the original trilogy. A lot of people still do. You know, it's always just the prequels that were that divisive, where people were like, "I don't know about these," you know.
But there's a lot of people who love the prequels. There are some people who hate it, but for the most part, people are like, yeah, they're fine. They have the good things and the bad things about them. But I like them for the most part. Or maybe, but it's never like, oh my goodness, I hate the prequels. And I'm sorry, there are some people who do not like the prequels. That's fine, but they do not hate it in the same level as they do the Disney trilogy. The vitriol for the prequels has never been as bad as it's been for the Disney trilogy. People despise it for good reason.
It seemed to follow the same trajectory, though. Each movie in the prequels kind of did lose a little bit of audience, but it wasn't. But Attack of the Clones was not at all as divisive as The Last Jedi.
Oh no, not even close.
And I'm one who. Oh, go on.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
I say I'm one who, when I heard about the prequels, I was like a kid in the candy store. They came out. I'm like, I watched Phantom Menace like 6 times in a theater.
Same.
I left the boat I was working on, go into Walmart, picked up the VHS when I knew it was on the shelf, and went back to the boat when I should have been sleeping for my upcoming shift, to watch it. And by the third one, I was like, these movies are fucking dog shit. And I hate it. And I went back. Like, okay, I can appreciate them now, but I've also, it was mostly the Anakin writing that was what
I just can't get past the second one.
But
the third one,
and I don't blame
is
Christensen
fine. Like the third one, I think is fine. It has some decent stuff in there. The only issue I really have with it is like I swear, if those movies released now, we never got Disney stuff, they would be looked at so much more differently. Because people always talk about like motivations of characters and stuff like that. His motivation for turning in the movie is really weird. He knows they're not bad people, yet this old guy just walks up to him, blah blah Jedi, blah blah blah. He just fucking turns. This would get roasted now if these movies came out, completely eviscerated. You know,
they
still are.
Yeah, like I understand Anakin's character. I do, but there are some his motivation for turning is just weird. It just doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
it's very sudden.
Yeah, it is sudden, but I'll give so the acting style of Hayden Christensen of Anakin, I give him a break a little bit on, because I think that was purely George Lucas inspiring.
And you were like,
not even that. It's just the whole point. I think that's exactly that is the direction that he was getting from Lucas.
And I don't blame Christensen or Jake Lloyd. I've seen other stuff with Hayden Christensen. He's not that wooden. It was right.
It was.
Now it's actually decent. Jake Lloyd has always been kind of shit.
Right.
But I mean, that's
and on top of that, they made, and on top of that, Anakin is Anakin too much through in the entire movies is too easily manipulated.
Yes,
that's his problem. He's manipulated all the time.
To go back to the first movie, he was always I think that was the point of his character. He was always a slave. He was a slave when he was a kid. He's a slave to his emotions. He's a slave to people telling him what to do. That I didn't have an issue with, because I understood that part. It's just so weird because the Jedi took him in. Yoda is telling the other guys, like Mace Windu, like this force is strong with this one, and I don't know. And even Yoda was like, I don't know about this kid, man. And so they already reluctantly took this guy in when he was a kid and he had nothing else but basically Padme when she was like 12, and that was a little weird there. But to get this guy to believe, like, I can't believe that. I can't believe a person's that stupid. No one's that easy manipulatable. They reluctantly took him in. He's gonna believe this random motherfucker is like they're evil. You don't see the lies of the Jedi, and it's like to the point where he massacres a bunch of kids because another old man convinced him they were evil. He would know they're not evil. He worked for them for years.
Yeah, it
happened too fast.
It did. I think what needed to happen, and this is how I would have changed it. I would have had Anakin be way older, not be 9 years old in Phantom Menace. Have him be
have him that young in Phantom Menace and have a bigger jump for the second movie.
Well, I think having him be as old as Padme would have solved the teenager hitting on a child thing.
Yeah.
But also B, because you're a stupid teenager and you haven't, because you're a stupid teenager who's just learning to survive, and you're gonna have a cruel streak, especially in places like Tatooine. So to also have all of this authority and strength thrust upon you, and then bleed into that a little bit more in Attack of the Clones, where they actually already do that, where they show kind of a dark streak to him. He's kind of reckless and he's a little bit careless of people's lives, and he just slaughters Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
for good reason. But
I think
that would have fixed so much. I think it was just
right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think if they'd have spent less time on the Trade Federation, all the other stuff. I was saying bullshit. I didn't mean to say bullshit. I didn't mean it's like it's horrible. I just was saying bullshit as a generic term. Had they spent more time showing his progression, I think they could have done it in the 2 movies. They needed another movie. They did strictly to have Vader pop up at the end of the movie. That's exactly why they did it. But there needed more time. Anakin should have had more screen time to show that progression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because usually in any movie trilogy or franchise, whatever, when you see progression for a character going from good to bad, there's time to marinate with it. There's time to understand it. Like, he's sitting there telling Obi-Wan after he kills Padme, I see through the lies of the Jedi. So you see through the lies of your own teacher who cared for you all these many years after Qui-Gon told him to do it.
Well,
I can understand why people didn't like these movies. These motivations are stupid. They're dumb.
To be fair, I totally get Palpatine clouding his mind. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, again, it happened too fast. If you watch all 3 movies, I know there's like a 2-year gap between 2 and 3, but it looks like it happens over the course of 3. It looks like it happens over the course of like 4 or 5 days.
5 years for 2 and 3.
Well, okay. But during 3, if you watch it, it feels like it happens over the course of like 4 or 5 days. He's changed from like Padawan to this Sith Lord in like a week. So it feels to me.
Yeah,
it happens too fast.
Yeah.
And I think especially killing the younglings was a little bit far. Maybe it could have happened without his knowledge, but he just chose to walk away and ignore it. Something like that. It seems a little bit too cruel.
No,
I totally get it.
But they needed more of a time of change, not like
him
like, oh yeah, I'm hiding my wife to fuck these kids, you know.
Fuck them kids.
Well, and the change to the dark side and the ability to be tempted should have been a lot more present in the in Attack of the Clones.
Agreed.
Not just that one event having to do with the Sand People. Really, that was about it.
Yeah.
That and Palpatine telling him one time there was a Sith Lord who could stop death. He told him that and he ran with it. Like,
yeah. For one thing, Palpatine, why do you know so much about the Sith? And the whole point that he knew, I mean, the talk the Sith by Palpatine so early on, and it's like it's going right over Anakin's head. Going, how do you know so much about the Sith?
He didn't think that.
He's not even questioning him. He's just going, "Oh yeah, bro. I get you, man. Jedi are trash." What?
What?
You can't be...
Based on what Disney's putting out, the Jedi are trash. They were trash. Before.
It's just a cult it's clearly a cult that is going after kids.
I want to make sure I clarify people. I don't hate Revenge of the Sith. I just didn't like the Anakin stuff for the most part. It's not the worst. It's the best prequel movie. I do like things about it. You know, the Mace Windu stuff was cool. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there. You know, the kids getting slaughtered. Hell, he slaughtered a black girl first. Hell yeah. You know.
Mace should have been one of those that you didn't know if survived or not.
They even re-swapped what is Anakin's first childhood child victims. This blonde white kid in the blonde white kid in the council chamber. They redo it for Reva.
Well, I do like how that they had let's see, Lucas used his son.
Yeah,
his son is
cool.
When
Bail Organa will see him.
Bail Organa is landing and then going to take off, and that kid that comes out with the lightsaber, that's Lucas's son.
Yeah. It's like, what's going on? Oh shit, this kid just got killed, and so it's like, oh, something's bad is going on. But the last 20 minutes of that, probably the last 30 minutes of that movie are fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that all was based on, right? That all that attack and stuff like that. It was based on January 6th.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
that's what that was. There. Yeah. George Lucas has a seer stone can see the future, and
Got a plan
Palpatine clearly is Trump. Clearly,
yeah, obviously. Despite the fact that he
no,
looks
he
like,
did.
he looks
No,
more
he
like
did.
Biden.
Well, he did admit. I mean, the speech that Palpatine does give is kind of lifted a bit from George Bush's speech against terrorism. If you're not with us, then you're against us.
I can see that.
That's
Yeah, I can see that. He's always because Star Wars was written during. Honestly, it was written during like the Vietnam War era, and especially Return of the Jedi definitely had a flavor of the Vietnam War era. Looking back on it, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Like it definitely had that appeal to it. So I can definitely see Lucas because Lucas has always been like an anti-authoritarian, and his entire reason because he had the Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Lucas school of film was always anti-authoritarian, kind of this auteur writer, director, producer. You know, you do whatever you want, not necessarily what the studio might tell you to do, and you need them for publishing and for funding, but for the most part, it's your movie. And this is that kind of new breed of filmmaker, and he's always been very anti-authoritarian, which I've liked. But what's interesting though. But it was interesting. He talks. It's not necessarily about institutions. It's just about the corrupting of power. But what Disney is doing is not asking those questions. Is now it's all about just the specific faction itself that is inherently bad. Like the Jedi are inherently bad now. The Jedi are the ones that were wrong. And Ryan Johnson said it's time for the Jedi to end. And then in Rise of Skywalker said, never mind, I was wrong. Like make up your damn mind. And then they're trying, and really, I've been noticing this really since back in, since really, and the Force Awakens, really since Rogue One, they've been trying to make the Empire look better and better the more time goes on, and they've been having way more stories focusing on the Empire and making the Rebellion look, well, maybe they're not so squeaky clean after all, which there are some that can work, like in the beginning of Rogue One. And especially with Andor, that works, but everything else they're incompetent at it because you have to have some kind of moral compass. What is good and what is bad? What is evil and what is dark and what is light? They don't know. They don't care. They're simply trying to make the gray Jedi a thing where there is no good and bad, dark and light. There is simply the nondescript miasma in the middle, and they're trying because they think that that's cool and edgy. It's just written by Reddit, for God's sake. It's not actually. You can't make a movie about gray Jedi because the gray Jedi are the least interesting aspect. They've been around for a very, very long time, but they're also invented by the internet and expanded in some of the EU stuff. But they're not fun. It's not interesting to have gray Jedi. The light and dark, the interplay between light and dark, those polar opposites, is much more interesting to examine. But they don't really seem to give a shit about that. Filmmaking, what's that?
Well, he lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I don't find it funny that the Jedi were always described as space police, and now they're suddenly being treated as being they were evil from the start. Oh, they were evil. They were always like, okay, wow. Can you hide your politics any less than you already are doing it now?
Yeah, that's deliberate. They're trying to make the Jedi. Everything about Star Wars are trying to make as ridiculous as humanly possible.
Well,
nothing's cool.
I mean, I'm very specific.
Lightsabers are nerfed. Think about lightsabers are nerfed. Yeah. Like the Jedi are idiots, or they're space cops, and that's not that. We don't want that. Or lightsabers are nerfed.
Corrupt,
yeah. Everything is power. It's and even that doing it for what was it, Last Jedi? It's all a machine, partners. I'm sorry, you've got one faction of the Empire that has just blown that their MO is blowing up entire planets, billions of people wiped out in a blink of an eye, and you got a rebellion that wants to keep that. You got the rebellion that wants to keep that from happening. You're trying to tell me there's both sides to this conflict? I thought we hated that. Shut up. They're nerfing everything cool about Star Wars, and they're nerfing it's always just been about good and evil, light and dark. You have to know what those are in order to actually talk about them, but they don't.
To be fair, there is both sides to every conflict. But that being said, you're looking at it from the rebellion point of view. They're fighting tyranny. You got it from the Empire's point of view. They want order, and they get safety through order. which is kind of similar to what Hitler was saying.
Hmm?
Not, completely, but, it had an element of what he was saying. So, no, the Empire's evil.
Hmm?
And I absolutely cannot stand the rebellion goes from rebellion to New Republic to failures in less than 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that was just like, that made the whole original trilogy struggle pointless.
Yeah. And especially it was kind of funny. I remember Rise of Skywalker was touted as like the end of the 9-film saga. I was like, no, it wasn't. In no way. It was a rehash. It was a rehash of Return of the Jedi. It was a ripoff of Return of the Jedi. It was in every way. It was kind of insane.
Well,
without the cool capital ship space battle.
Right, and it's just like Force Awakens was a rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah, it's like all it did was continue the story and make the same problems, the same battle, the same war, but just in a different time period. Because
that's what J.J. Abrams does.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what J.J. Abrams does. That's all he can do is rehash old stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look outside of Star Wars and look at Star Trek.
Yeah.
Look at the second one specifically. He almost was rehashing all of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, but just putting it within the Kelvin timeline.
He was modernizing
it for the modern audience.
I'm sorry, but why? How is an Englishman playing an Indian Sikh? That's who Khan was, an Indian Sikh. That's who Khan Noonien Soon was.
I will say this: since we're talking about Star Wars, I forgot this existed until I was watching one of my favorite YouTube channels talking about it. There's a Star Wars comic series where it takes place after Return of the Jedi. This one where it's the Dark Empire or some shit. It's like, basically Mara Jade is trying to take over the universe with Thrawn or some shit. That actually sounds interesting.
Isn't that what's his name trilogy?
If you read, Timothy Zahn. If you read
that's the Dark Horse comics.
Mara Jade does not come into the Thrawn part, so it's not Thrawn, but it's the Emperor's clone comes back.
Right.
You've got the new Jedi, like nothing, the Jedi Order, the Jedi Academy trilogy. Yeah. That's what that is.
Okay. Yeah. That actually sounded kind of cool. I saw
Mara Jade comes in the Timothy books as well.
I saw a few Epic collections at Barnes & Noble. I was like, wait a minute. Next time I go, I'll snap one. That's like a really cool idea. Like that's the thing that's jarring about Star Wars is average people that only just watch the movies. Literally, if you remember the original trilogy, it went from we won everything to wait a minute, things are fucked up again. That's so jarring for audiences. Let's be honest, average people ain't reading books, reading comics, playing video games. Like, video games probably, but comics and books for sure aren't getting read like that. Yeah, they're like going, the fuck just happened? Hey, now we have a woman leading Star Wars and a black guy's here.
If you want to get a good set to like get your sequel trilogy on, read the X-Wing books 1 through 8.
Those were great.
Then the Thrawn trilogy, then iJedi, then book 9 of the X-Wings, and that's like a good like trilogy type like to read.
The Jedi Academy books were pretty good too.
I didn't read those.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're really good. It's all Jedi related stuff. So
black people.
But I know a lot of people like bring up like the good sequel trilogy, and I just found if you read the X-Wing books, it follows Wedge and the Rogue Squadron, and then you read the 3 Thrones and then iJedi, because iJedi has a character from the X-Wing books who's also, I think he's also in the Thrawn trilogy, and then it kind of ends the whole X-Wing thing with book 9. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome if you read them in that order. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, really right. We had a great show today. We'll start with outros. We did the NBA initial episode earlier. Go check that out. I'll try and get some WNBA watch potentially to try and hang
I'm
myself.
Down, dude. I'm down.
If there's a hot black girl in the same sentence, it's not a thing. But
definitely not in the WNBA.
I'm about to say Tyra Banks exists, but Tyra Banks is not in the WNBA series.
Stacey Dash. No, I've been following the WNBA since the beginning. I've been following the WNBA since the beginning. There's some attractive women.
Insane.
I've always been into sports, man. Always.
How did you
I
live?
I do think there's attractive women on every team of all fucking races in that league.
Sure.
Like I don't care what race you are. You're attractive.
I do.
Attractive. But
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm enjoying the games
Okay.
this year, probably because I have renewed attention because of Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark. But
Oh,
I mean, it's
Got some
speaking
money
of
on
the
the
Star
games
Wars
too.
thing. Sorry, it was the Star
too.
Wars Legends, the New Republic omnibus that they dropped for all those comics.
Oh, okay.
I got to get the Epic collections for those. Those are hell yeah. Sign me up. I will definitely read those, and I can definitely potentially wipe my ass with them on newsprint.
Awesome.
Huh.
Well, when the
All right.
apocalypse happens, you can.
Oh no, I would never do that. I would actually whatever. All right, let's start with Darnell. Anything you want to say before we head out? Actually,
Oh no, thanks to Michael for plugging the music channel. That's for the AI music. Check it out. We've taken kind of like a couple week break here, so we'll have music coming soon. More music coming soon.
Hell yeah! All right, Emerald, what you got beside being alive?
Not drunk. Not this weekend.
Failing the city.
Well, no. Again, as I've been saying, I'm training the crime fighting kitten right now, and he was kicking. He was kicking some ass with those toy mice this morning. Oh, he's learning skills. He will have some skills.
Hell yeah.
Oh God. All right, Strider, anything you got that you want to show for the audience before we head out?
Yeah, I saw Kevin Costner's Western. Really enjoyed it. That was on Sunday, so I did a review of it. So definitely go check that out. Be aware there is kind of a 9-minute prologue of some things that need of just some things that were on my mind before the film started that need to be cleared up before, so you kind of know what perspective I'm coming from. But I do what I always do. I do a rather spoiler-free review of the film, and then I give you ample time. I give you ample warning whenever I'm about to go into spoilers, and then I do that. So don't let the spoiler title in the video title fool you. I'll just watch it. I'll give you ample time. If you want to click away for spoilers, go right ahead. But it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Love to see the next. I can't wait to see the next chapter. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of setup, no payoff, because it's like 3 movies running simultaneously. So, but there's a lot of really cool characters, a lot of really cool situations that were being put in. A lot of writing is pretty good. It is not like political at all. You have Indians and settlers killing each other just as much, and the Indians are actually the warlike faction of the Apache are the bad guys, and they're pretty brutal in their killing of the settlers. And that's same thing. Settlers descend into that same violence too, because that's how history works. And I really appreciated that as we're seeing.
Do you have to watch his AMC show to understand what's going on?
No, this has nothing to do with Yellowstone.
Okay.
It's independent of it. In fact, he's been trying to get this made since before Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
And
I thought you had to watch it, so I was kind of turned off. I'm like, I'm not gonna see it because I'm not watching Yellowstone.
No, Yellowstone's good. I
too much
enjoyed it, but yeah, I think if you want a good primer on at least the time period that it's set in, 1883 is good, even though 1883 takes place 20 years after this, because this is during the Civil War, and that actually ties into a really moving part of the movie that was great. I really enjoyed that. But this takes place during the Civil War. 1883 is, of course, 20 years later. So. But it's not connected to Yellowstone in any way. It's its own thing. This is all Kevin Costner's work. Cool, he wrote it, he directed, he produced it, put like $30 million of his own money to it. And the part one released last weekend. Part 2 is going to release in August. Part 3 is already being filmed, and part 4 is in principal production. So the studios have quite a bit of faith in it. I don't know how well it's going to do, because it's 3 hours, but it doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
Just don't expect an ending. Don't expect a climax. Don't expect a rising action in the resolution. Don't expect that. It is a bit of a cliffhanger. It just kind of stops, but you do there's actually kind of a cool 5-minute flash forward, kind of like coming up this season, except it's not that cheesy. So it shows you like bits of action and bits of character development that they're flashing forward to. And like,
okay.
So no award ceremony in a throne room.
I'm missing something. Sorry. Award ceremony of Throne.
Darnell got it. I know how because he's left. End of New Hope.
Oh,
Or end of
okay,
the
yeah,
first movie.
yeah. I've had like a pint of chamomile tea, so I'm not firing all cylinders.
Where does Rust fit into the timeline here?
Well, unlike Rust, nobody died on this. Nobody died because Kevin Costner actually knows how to ride a horse and shoot a gun, for God's sake. And everybody does there. Everybody knows how to shoot a gun. Everybody acts like they're handling a gun. They're actually riding real horses, and it's all shot on location. So this is definitely a beautiful film. If you at all like history, if you all like cowboys, like the kind of traditional, not idiotically ideologue version of the American settling of the American West, I think you'll like it.
All right. This is Walter before we head out. Last comment. What a bitch move to quit Yellowstone just before the final stretch of the final season. Don't get me wrong, I get it. He has his Horizon films, but still.
To be fair, Taylor Sheridan only expected Yellowstone to last like 3 seasons, if that. He meant it to last. He did not mean it to last till season 5, and so Kevin Costner has been trying to get this made for years, and so there was some conflicts, button heads. I mean, maybe I don't know. Costner has always been kind of a diva. I mean, he's been kind of difficult to work with on certain points, and the older you get, I doubt that alleviated. I don't know. Maybe not the best idea to quit. Probably the biggest show on TV right now, especially if we're going into the last season, but it's ending in November anyway. I think this is it. That's like the last half of season 5 is it. So we'll see how it goes.
I will say Costner's best movie, Waterworld.
What, Robin Hood?
I mean, only second,
fake British accent.
only second to the Postman.
I didn't hate the Postman. I think the Postman was fun.
I'm sorry,
stupid,
but the Postman was almost like a rehash of Waterworld.
Yeah, it's very similar.
I would say go watch Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe show on Netflix.
I hate you.
All right, that's what I would say. I have some big things to get done tonight, actually. I got to get the YouTube stuff almost all done. I'm ready to just get the gaming channel set up, the YuGiOh channel set up. That stuff's going to end up probably getting launched this week, actually. Oh, and happy 4th of July to everyone coming up. That's going to be on Thursday as my day off. So I'll be streaming for a little bit. I mean, people ask me, are you going to go out this year? Because last year, I mean, my ex and her sister came over, and they were like, you come out and hang out with us. So I was like, I don't really celebrate holidays. I don't personally care. So if I get invited out, I may go, but I'm just cool just having a holiday. I haven't had a holiday off in like years. I'm cool just sitting home and just chilling all day. So, I mean,
I'm available all day.
I hate you personally. But we'll see how it goes. I got to get the YuGiOh and gaming stuff buckled down. The comic stuff happened. Me and Professor Savage just reviewed Deadpool and Wolverine, World War III, issue number 1. And it's kind of ironic we talk about World War III as we're talking about Biden stepping down potentially for politics, but Marvel's ahead of the curve there with that, in my opinion. And yes, if you guys are following anything political wise, I don't think the Democratic Party is not really a Democratic Party. Let's just say that they still believe that this country is not a constitutional republic. They actually don't believe that. They actually believe it's a democracy. In this country, it's a constitutional republic of federal states. Technical term for it, honestly. But what do I know? I'm just good looking, hot, rich, and black, and successful.
Fair enough.
Unlike LeBron James. LeBron James confirmed banging his teammate's wife.
Mom.
Who would sleep?
Mom.
Mom. Yeah, sorry. Who would sleep with LeBron James? He's not attractive.
He knows the he knows the opening to so many books.
All right. So, like I said before, on the Iron Man podcast episode we did previously before this one, episode 513, if I choose to go down the route of watching the WNBA, we'll have episodes like that. But
I'll talk him into it.
Well, but we'll get the season stuff going when the official season starts. No preseason bullshit. When people are actually playing like it actually matters, obviously. So Cloud9 Podcast episodes going to Rumble. New episodes of this show on the Cloud9 Podcast getting uploaded to the podcasting platforms, and the pre-recorded content that we have done on these shows, I'm trying to do as fast as I can before Comic-Con. getting a rest of that content out for you guys. And I'm behind a little bit, but I'm going to try every day to at least get 2 of the videos out for you guys. And there is some banger long ones, like long ones you can get all the way down the back of your throat, just like Adriana Chedick does, and roll her eyes back, and you're going to love it, actually. You know, I had text with a girl last night. She wanted to be blindfolded and tied up, hands behind her back, and she was just a fucking whore. What a hoe bag. Yeah, you don't take her home to your mom. You pound them and leave them, honestly. Yeah. So I think I can drink, gamble, and hump even more than I can right now.
I'll still say 6 weeks. You're slowly building to it.
Oh shit. Oh. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to say, thank you to every single person that, comes out, joins the shows for the panels and stuff like that. There's nothing else I need to really, really promote. You guys will see what I'm doing on social media anyway. I do have a big one-on-one planned on this Saturday after the Saturday SmackDown show. You guys would be like, you really got that person? Yeah. I mean, it won't be as juicy as I initially hoped it would be, but, I still understand how to rizz up the people. The dudes.
You got Mandy Summers, didn't you?
I wish. I think Mandy Summers is everyone's girl. No one has her.
You got this Oscars to say yes.
I will.
When everyone's super, no. When everyone's super,
girl.
No one will be.
It's a girl. She has a lot of. She has a pretty big following, I would say. So she agreed to get rizzed up by me.
She has a big lot of things.
Melanie Mac.
I could rizz up her, but I don't exist next to her. I'll be honest, I didn't even know Extra Girl was married. I was talking to her husband, like it was just a regular.
Really?
Didn't she married to like Cyborg Superman, right?
Mark the Cyborg.
No,
I didn't know that.
Mark the Cyborg, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that
for a while.
I asked him, "Does your wife rap?" When someone told me, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Hey, your wife's your wife's one of them." It's like, what are you talking about?
A hot Asian, yeah.
Yeah, that too. I was like, does she rap to you? I was gonna ask him, does she rap to you when you're having sex? But I think that would be a little too much.
What?
Like that's over the line.
Oh,
like does she moan in Asian moan? Like the Street Fighter girls, they moan when they get knocked out. I wonder does she? Oh gosh, dipping into territories right now. How long has she been a girl? No, this is a born woman. She was born with the parts of a woman. That's the thing. I asked Gary if he dated a black girl, and he said, yeah. I was like, okay. He looks like he didn't, honestly. Ryan said he did. Jeremy said he didn't. Jeremy has standards. Jeremy's the epitome right there. Jeremy didn't lower himself to date a hood animal. Ugh. Hey, Steve, what's up, man?
And it was fun on YouTube while it lasted.
Yeah,
let's say. Well, I didn't realize you were on YouTube, and then here I am calling for the summary execution of pedophiles, and without saying in Minecraft with the qualifier. So that's probably my fault.
We're so screwed.
I didn't realize you're on YouTube. Sorry.
And okay, well, YouTube, he said it. Take his stuff away, not mine. He told me to platform him so he could spout his racist bigot propaganda to me.
Yeah, I will happily go down with that ship.
Oh yeah, I love it. Being a bigot is awesome. You get hot ladies, you get Hawk 2 girl.
That's
all right, everyone.
All right, yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Iron Man podcast. We'll see you guys.